Read the comments. Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Big Sarge here, and I have my brother from another mother. Ain't that what you normally say, E?
My brother from another mother, my battle, my day one, my big bro. It's what we do. Big Sarge, aka Brian Bearfield, the Sports Business Podcast. We should be seeing some Can we reunited and it feels so good? Should we be hitting them with that?
And I got my battle buddy, Mr. Eric Compton, aka Mr. Town Business, host of the Sports Business Podcast, joining me today because there's some things that have transpired here, and they transpired so quickly, man, that I was just like, what is going on? I didn't know what was going on until, I went, because I was out and I came back in and I cut the game on and it was like, no game today. They protest. And I was like, okay. So then I started doing a little bit more research, and then I seen something else and something else and something else. So for those of you all who don't know and just joining us right now, on today, the NBA players have decided to protest the NBA 2020 playoff games that were supposed to be played today, which would have been Game 5 for all the teams, correct?
Game 5 yes. All today. So yeah, Game 5 is all games today. Yep.
So it would have been the Milwaukee Bucks versus the Orlando Magic in the first game, the Houston Rockets versus the Oklahoma City Thunder in the second game, and the nightcap would have been Los Angeles Lakers versus the Portland Trailblazers. Now, it would have been 2 closeout games for Milwaukee and for Los Angeles. Mm-hmm. And the Houston-Oklahoma City series is tied up 2-2. And that game is the one thing that I was really interested in because, of course, I cover the Rockets, and so I was interested to see, if they were going to win to go up 3-2. I was interested to see Russell Westbrook had been upgraded or downgraded or whatever they say.
I think he was listed as out. From what I checked this morning, he was listed as out. But
and then he came back 3 hours before the game and said he was questionable. So I was interested to see if he was going to be able to play in the game as well. But they're protesting in response to the shooting of Jacob Blake, a Kenosha, Wisconsin resident who was shot in the back 7 times by police officers after they showed up for what I think they would call a domestic violence.
It was a fight that broke out, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so so the NBA players has decided to protest. Also, in Major League Baseball, the Milwaukee Brewers have decided to protest as well. They're boycotting today's game. So I came on earlier on this platform just to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks because they were the only ones that I knew at that time. But since then, all of the NBA games are canceled, and at least one Major League Baseball game is canceled. E, let me ask you a question. Do you think that they're doing the right thing?
Man, I know we usually do like a Big Sarge salute on our podcast when we're not live on TV or on the internet. So, in all honesty, this is definitely a Big Sarge salute. This is definitely, I got a lot of emotions right now. So, I think honestly, this is a great step into what needed to be done. I know initially, just from before the bubble even started, in the NBA bubble, there was already talks that a lot of players were already feeling some type of way if they should have been playing from the get-go. And they were super torn on that. And eventually, players were afforded the opportunity if they wanted to go home, they were able to go home with no repercussions or anything like that. But the first person who I actually thought of initially, BB, was Kyrie Irving, man. Kyrie Irving is actually the first person who I thought of, and I was very, very critical of Kyrie Irving, saying that nobody needed to go in the bubble in Orlando and whatnot. And I kind of got to eat a little bit of humble pie and say he might have been onto something.
So let me say this before you finish. I don't know. Do you remember when I was hosting that morning radio show, The Morning Edge? And I went on, and I think you and I had a discussion about this as well. But I went on and I said that, I've roasted Kyrie for plenty of things, a plethora of things, as far as him talking about how flat the earth is, him having the all-white party after the Cavaliers had secured their first NBA championship. And by all white, I don't mean clothing. I mean women. Right. And so I said that Stephen A. Smith and even Mark Spears from The Undefeated on ESPN, they owe Kyrie the opportunity to at least hear him out in this situation. The Stephen A. Smith came on and said that Kyrie should just shut up and go play, basically.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't say that verbatim, but he said, do your job. That's what you're being paid for. And like you said, Kyrie had this vision earlier. And I said, I just want to see how it's going to play out. And it's funny because I was watching a clip of that I have in my phone earlier today. So I just wanted to throw that out there that, Stephen A. Smith and even Mark Spears, and he didn't say anything disparaging to it, but he also didn't give Kyrie his props. And so, like I said, I think other people owe Kyrie an apology as well.
Yeah, and so when you ask me the question of, did the NBA do it right? Did the players? It's not even necessarily NBA because a lot of these, as from my understanding, the league as well as the owners didn't even know that this was even going to take place, which is kind of weird because there was already rumblings of this as of yesterday that this may or may not have been taking place. So the fact that the players were able to come together and figure it out, that's a huge start. The only thing I wish would have happened is that the Orlando Magic, they was already on the court warming up, stretching, doing getting ready for PT, doing the PT stretches and whatnot. So they was already ready to play a basketball game. The only thing I wish is that I wish the Magic would have got somewhat of a heads up. But I think all in all, they probably would understood what this is, and it's bigger than sports. So if you're asking me the question, if the NBA, if the players, especially with the Milwaukee Bucks, doing the right thing, hell yeah, this is a monumental step. I mean, the last thing I can think of outside of the league getting shut down, as far as anything remotely close to this, is probably back in 2014 when Adam Silver got on the podium and banned Donald Sterling from them, and it kind of goes into tenfold because we had a racist owner who said racist things pertaining to Magic Johnson, and the NBA did not take. They were pretty swift with their actions, and they banned Donald Sterling immediately. So I guess my next thing would be.
Hold on, let me just interject this too, because so I don't think that it was. I think that this was a last minute thing, and what I mean by last minute, I know that George Hill, guard for the Milwaukee Bucks, had already went on and he expressed his frustration and his anger on yesterday during the press conference, and so I think that it was a last minute thing because if I'm not mistaken, Brooke Lopez, Robin Lopez, one of them Lopez brothers, him and another player, I think, were warming up on the court. So I don't think that they even knew. I think that this may have been discussed, but hadn't been put into action just yet. And so at the last minute, they put it into action because they were supposed to be on the court. They're supposed to be on the court no later than 15 minutes prior to the game.
Right.
So when they didn't show up and the Magic was warming up, and two players from the Milwaukee Bucks, and I guess they got word that, hey, we're not playing today. So they went back into the locker room, and then the Magic, they got word. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, I think that someone from the Magic organization has come out and spoke on behalf and said that we didn't know, but we fully
Right. So I
just wanted to interject that.
Right. So not saying that the Magic are feeling salty that no one gave them the heads up. Once when they found out, they knew what was up, and I think the only thing is they wish they would just had somewhat of a heads up. But I think the way they delivered it, BB, as far as not saying nothing and kind of keeping this G14 classified, having everybody on their toes, not showing up for pre-games and all the other stuff, I think that was very, very methodically thought of. Even possibly sending out the Lopez twins out there. Maybe the whole team didn't know, but big picture-wise, yeah. So both the Lopez boys do play for them. So macro-wise, looking at it at 30,000 feet in the air, I think this was very, very well thought of, very, very well planned out, and it definitely gave a trickle-down effect where now, like you said, a pivotal Game 5 between the Rockets and the Thunder is now on pause. Two closeout games because we already know the Bucks and the Lakers was going to handle their business tonight and get ready for the second round. I know that the Raptors and the Celtics are already thinking about canceling their Game 1 tomorrow. That was already on slate. So I think my next question for you is, all right, so we got these games canceling left and right. That's all fine and dandy. We got them canceled probably tonight, more than likely tomorrow. I would be shocked if there's any games played tomorrow, honestly. Does this mean that we're gonna start seeing, is the bubble about to pop and everybody about to go home? Because
go ahead.
Because here's the thing, I mean, I'm all for it. This is a great step in the progress, and this is a great way to get everyone's attention. I do honestly think if we really want to see something pop off, you got to pop that bubble, and everybody need to go ahead and turn their room keys in and get on the first thing smoking in the morning.
So here's the thing, E, and before I say what I said earlier, reiterate what I said earlier. Side note. Oh, you know why Dante was all about it, don't you?
Oh, big facts. Big facts.
Like Dante
big facts.
No, man, we're not gonna take this bullet no more. Like,
right.
Aren't you Italian? Ain't he Italian?
DiVincenzo sound like an Italian name to me, so I know he.
Hey,
I don't know if he like.
You heard him talk before?
Yeah, I've seen some of his Twitter posts when he was at Villanova too.
And he can dance.
Yeah, so I know he can. Yeah, so I know he out there hitting the Millie Whopping and everything else out there in Milwaukee. So, I mean,
here's the thing, though, E. So going forward, there's going to have to be some type of dialogue. There's going to have to be some type of dialogue that satisfies these NBA players. Because if not, and what I mean by dialogue is the owners are going to have to come to the players and say, we're going to take the next step. In my earlier post, I talked about how these NBA players are going to want to have the police chiefs, the mayors, the governors, the Congress people, the senators. They want to have this conversation to see what they can do going forward. They want to have that type of conversation to see, what are you all planning to do? We've had too many T-shirts made. We've had too many hashtags made. We've made too many social media posts. We're tired of it. And that's the one thing that I like about what they're doing going forward. I like what they're doing. Now, I'm under the impression that LeBron James is a huge and integral part of what's going on right now. And I wouldn't be surprised that if they don't see some type of action, if they don't see any type of change, he himself is going to be the ringleader and going to come out and say, hey, we're not doing this. And
between him and Chris Paul.
Yeah, if that means that we have to go out and find some other way to supplement some income to help some of these guys out who may not be able to do this going into the next season, something's going to have to give. Yes, I didn't mean to leave Chris Paul out, who is head of the Players Union, correct?
Right, absolutely, yeah. Mm-hmm.
NBA,
and that's the reason why I say Chris Paul, because he's the VP or the president of the Players Union. That's one reason why I say.
Which, by the way, Kyrie Irving is the vice president.
There's that too. I think there's two vice presidents outside of Kyrie. It used to be Paul Gasol, but that's neither here or there. But you're absolutely right. It's and I know one thing in prior shows that we've had, we may have been critical of LeBron, but and Pat Beverly said something earlier before the bubble started that if LeBron says we going. I think this is and no knocking. It's just game recognized game. So it's not a knock towards LeBron. I think this is a great time. I think it's a great time for LeBron. This is, like you said, LeBron is probably going to ring everybody up, and rightfully so. He is the face of the National Basketball Association. Let's just put it the way it is. Whether you like him or not, the dude does so much off the court, and he is the big ticket. And so I think between now and the cool thing about the bubble right now, BB, is that it ain't hard to find people. You can knock on people's doors. Yeah. Like, hey, you know what I'm saying? So it ain't hard to find people. You can literally knock on people's doors and tell them, hey, we gonna come down here to this one convention hall or go right here on this basketball court. Everybody mask up. Everyone's tested negative, so it's not any issues. And you can actually get on this basketball court with this big old sign that says Black Lives Matter and put out a statement and say, hey, unless your local officials, the people in Congress need to come back from recess and get their asses back on session before next week, before Labor Day, and get these legislators going. We got people out here that aren't getting unemployment checks, that are starving. We're seeing too much stuff happen. This is the time. There's never been a time more critical where easily accessible to be able to get all of the players that are in the playoffs right now to knock on their doors and sit there and get everybody down on one of the basketball courts and make a public statement. Leading LeBron, Chris Paul, Carmelo. I mean, you got 3/4 of the Banana Boat crew right then and there. The ESPN, SP people are right there. So you can make it happen. So that would be really, really dope to see. And if they sit there and got on the court, BB, and said, hey, all however many hundreds of players of us that are remaining in this NBA playoffs, we're going to go ahead and turn our room keys in right now. We're going to chuck up the deuces. And, we're not coming back until we see change.
And that's the thing, too.
I ain't got
And that's my thing too. The worst thing that could have happened is well, I'll put it like this. The worst thing that could have happened for the NBA owners is to allow all these players to be in a central, well, not all of them, but for the majority of them, the stars who make things happen, to be in one central location. And just like you said earlier, now they have easy access to each other instead of trying to call an assistant or call one of their partners and say, hey, man, tell such and such to call me, such and such to call me. Because and you know this better than anybody else because you grew up in the Bay. You was also in the Army. I can call you and talk to you all day, and you give me, not you per se, but I'm just saying anybody in general can give you lip service over the phone. When you got to look a man in his eyes, and answer his questions, that's a totally different thing. And so now where you can put off texting or DMing LeBron or Chris Paul, now you got to actually sit there and look them in the face and tell, here's LeBron James saying, hey, man, we're going to need you to get on board this, that, and other. And you're going to look him in his eyes and say, no. And for as much as criticism, like we said earlier, for as much criticism as LeBron James get, on the court as far as championships concerned, as far as people, talk about his hardness, that, and other. This right here, LeBron is the GOAT.
Absolutely.
Justice. And the problem is the problem that the rest of America, and what I mean by the rest of America, the people who don't like him, the people from the Fox News, Jason Whitlock, Clay Travis, those type of people have an issue with him because they can't stop him because they can't affect his money. LeBron James is he considered a billionaire yet? I know
he's close to a billion. He's close to a billion.
He's close to a billion because doesn't he have a $1 billion contract with Nike?
I think it's $2 billion with Nike. It's at a minimum, it's $1 billion. They never disclosed what the actual terms was. It was just he's got a contract with Nike for the rest of his life. Is what it was. So
what is Laura Ingraham on Fox News? How is that going to affect him? You see how he does the president. He's like, bro, you can't affect me. It's the exact same way when the president tried to come at Phil Knight, and Phil Knight is like, bro, I own Nike. There's nothing you can do. You can. No matter what you try to do, even in my taxes, how much? I'll write you a check right now. That's my yacht money. That's quote unquote we call it tennis shoe money down here in Houston. So that's my tennis shoe money right there. So there's nothing that they can do to stop LeBron James and once he gets the rest of those players on board, then there's not, because he is the face of the NBA. Mm-hmm. And being the face of the NBA, he can get everybody to follow him. And those who don't, I don't want to say there's going to be repercussions, but I think I'd rather be on the side, at least in this situation, with LeBron than against him. Now, here's the thing, E. Let me ask you a question, since I got you here now. How much backlash do you think that these players are going to receive as far as, because right now the Republican National Convention is going on.
Day 3.
Tonight, I'm glad on what they did, but this is going to be a talking point. Do you think that they come out and attack these players for once again, using their platform and now going above and beyond on their platforms to discuss, another killing? Another shooting, not killing. He survived, thank God. But another shooting of an unarmed African American male.
Man, that's a great question, man. I've been thinking about it a lot, and I was in a meeting earlier today, and somebody actually brought it down. It was like, "You don't look good today." And I said, "Yeah, I'm tired of seeing black people die. I'm tired of seeing unarmed black people without due process get done in." So to answer your question, here's the thing about athletes, with the easy access to social media. A lot of these players don't want to be the forefront of what's going on. They don't. A lot of these players, I'm pretty sure if you ask LeBron James, does he want to sit here and talk about George Floyd, Mr. Blake, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, Tamar Rice? If you ask LeBron James if that's what he wants to do talking in his press conferences, if you ask Doc Rivers, who practically poured his heart out in his press conference last night, whose daddy was a cop, I'm pretty sure a lot of the times they're going to sit there and say no. The thing about being a black athlete is that they've been put in this position where they have no choice but to speak on the issues, because me, as an employee who has a W-2, I can't go to my president and say, hey, Black Lives Matter. I mean, I could. I would be unemployed. A lot of us can't. I mean, I could. So I take that back. I could, but then I wouldn't be able to live. I wouldn't have a lifestyle. I wouldn't be able to have the livelihood at my current employer. I'm pretty sure everyone who's watching this podcast all over the world is not afforded the opportunity to go to their manager or go out and sit there and say how they truly feel. They can't.
Don't you hate when people say, don't you hate when people be like, well, I mean, you wouldn't do that on your job? That's like, of course not. I'm in a
I could. No, I said the same. I could. I can say it. The answer to the question is yes, you can. However, are you willing to see the ramifications and the consequences of what you say at your job? So the answer to your question is yes, I can say it, but do you know what the consequences are going to be on the back end? Now, some jobs can let you a little. Go ahead.
But my thing is this, though. My thing is that when people start saying like that, they shouldn't be able to do that on their job. There's rules and regulations to two different type of jobs. Now, I'm going to take a step out of what transpired today with the NBA and take a step over into the NFL realm. So when people get to talking about, well, you can't do that at your job. They wouldn't allow you to kneel, like that, or silently protest like that. You can't take a knee when you go to work at Costco or whatever the case may be. Nothing against Costco, but
they pay good.
Here's the thing.
They pay good.
I didn't realize how much the minimum wage was in California until I was in California last week. I was like, oh, but then I realized how expensive it is to be in California too. So when they started talking about that with the NFL, I started telling them, well, so I may not be able to do that type of protesting on my job due to the rules and regulations that have been placed inside of the handbook that is distributed through HR. So HR may call me and say, hey, according to the rules, you can't do that type of stuff as far as taking a political stance and things like that here. You can't do that here. My question to all these naysayers when it comes to taking a knee and silently protesting during the national anthem in sports, where does it say that they can't? In the NFL, there was never a rule that states that they cannot take a knee. There's not a rule that says that they have to put their hands over their heart. There's not a rule that says they have to do the national anthem. When Colin Kaepernick, which is now 4 years, almost to the day, correct? 4 years ago,
like that,
took that knee. People start talking about, oh, he can't do that. He's there to play football, this, that, and other. Show me where you can't, because it wasn't until till patriotism came along and the NFL started getting money from the Department of Defense before they start becoming so patriotic. Now, with that being said, I want to ask you this while we're over here in the NFL realm. NFL don't do this, do they? There's no possible way they do this, right? But they got too many players, too, that can't afford to lose checks.
There's that. There's also a lot of old money in the NFL. When I say old money, look at your average NFL owner's age. I think it's 73 years old is what the average NFL owner is. So we're talking about owners who practically are still in. They were grown-ups during the civil rights movement. So you also have to take that in consideration. And like you said, the NFL, there's a lot more players, and there's a lot more players that make money on the lower end than your Aaron Rodgers, your Tom Brady's, your Mike Thomas's and things like that. So the scale on the NFL is a little bit lower than what an NBA player can do. NBA contracts are fully guaranteed. NFL contracts are not fully guaranteed. They're loaded up on incentives and roster bonuses and things like that. And a lot of the money actually comes from escrow as well. So to answer your question, I don't think the NFL can pull something off like this. However, I think the NFL culture is starting to shift. They're starting to pivot. I want to say shift. They're pivoting into a different direction where these types of things are a little bit more open. As a buyer's remorse, where now that you see what Colin Kaepernick was, he was a Nostradamus, and he kind of called it 4 years ago when he was talking about the stuff that he was talking. And now here we are 4 years later, and things are getting worse. It ain't getting better, baby. That's the cold part about it. We're in a situation where things have gotten worse within the last 4 years since Colin Kaepernick took a peaceful protest knee. And so can the NFL pull this off? I sure wish some NFL preseason games was on this right now, because this would have been a good test to see if it would happen or not. But I would like to see the NFL. Do I want to see the NFL do it? I don't want to see nobody doing this. So what that means, So how do we get to see nobody do this? Y'all got to stop killing unarmed black people without getting their due process. All right. So if y'all don't want to see this happening,
shooting them.
Yeah, stop shooting black people, and you won't have this.
Yeah, Jacob Blake didn't die. I mean, we have to report that, but
right.
He didn't die.
He's paralyzed from the waist down in front of his kids, and one of his kids was his doggone birthday. Shot in the back, shot in the car with his kids in there. Okay, that's the part that disturbs me. That anything in that car could have ricocheted and hit one of them kids. All right. So when I say that, stop shooting black people. Stop. And you won't see players taking knees. You won't see players boycotting. You won't see riots. You won't see protesting. Just stop shooting black people. It's just that simple. That's all we asking for.
So, E, here's the thing, too. So, since we're here, I want to talk about, because both of us are veterans of the United States Army. I want to take a step out of sports for a second, and let's just focus on what transpired on that day when Mr. Blake was shot in the back 7 times, right? Now, I said this earlier, and I know that this is going to be the narrative. And in some situations, some cases, because you know me, I like to keep it, I keep it 100. I keep it 100. I try my best not to be a hypocrite as much as I can. And you and I, we go back and forth on social media all the time. Some people may think we don't even like each other.
Right.
Difference of opinion.
Absolutely.
So, I said this earlier. I will say this again. I would have liked for Mr. Blake to have stayed on the other side of the car and not have gotten into a tussle or an altercation with the police officers from the other video that I've seen. I would have liked for him to stay on the other side thinking about those kids. I would have really appreciated if he would have stayed there, because I know that I would have stayed there, especially if I'd have had my grandbabies in the car. I'm like, look, I'm going to do whatever it is y'all need me to do. So I wish that he would have stayed on the other side of the vehicle and not walk towards his car. Now, with that being said, E, I brought up
understandable. That's understandable. That's understandable.
So I brought up the fact that you and I are United States. I brought up the fact that we're veterans of the United States Army to say this. E, the training between the military and law enforcement officials is nothing but maybe this much difference. And that depends on whatever you're learning as far as what the Army teaches you and what law enforcement officials teach you. If you have that many officers on the scene and they cannot stop or subdue a one suspect, they allowed him to walk around towards his car. Now, with that being said, you could have tackled him again. You didn't have to use a taser.
You could use a taser.
You could have used. Have you ever got hit with one of those police flashlights?
They don't tickle,
bruh.
They don't tickle.
I have one in the car right now that doesn't even have any batteries in it, but because of the weight on it, and because if somebody stick their hand in there, I could break their wrist. You could have used that to hit him on the knee or something. You could have done something to stop him or continue to try to stop him until backup came up. And so, with that being said, I don't like what Mr. Blake did in walking around to get in his car. I also don't like what the police officers did, because now, in my mind, even though he tussled with them, and we've seen a number of videos of people of Anglo-American stature, wrestling with the police, chasing the police, pulling a weapon out of the police, biting the police. We've seen this on numerous occasions, and they lived. So with this young man walking to his car like that, resisting arrest, and I think you said it earlier, resisting arrest does not mean that a death warrant should be issued. It almost seems like they said, okay, go ahead. And when you make this move, this is going to justify us being able to shoot you. And that's why I say I wish he would have stayed on the other side of the car. The police could have handled that a whole lot better, especially with the training that they teach us this type of training in basic.
9 weeks is all it takes.
Yes.
So you're absolutely, how you feel is absolutely right. I'm not going to disagree with, should he have stayed on the other side of the car and did what the police officer told, whatever happened. I'm not, this isn't the day or time to argue with that. What I will say is we as black people, I'm half black. My mama's from Japan, but at the end of the day, I'm black. All right. They're not going to sit there and say I'm Japanese. They don't give a damn if I'm Japanese. All they see is a black person. Yeah. The thing about it is, BB, is that we as black people, we have to go so above and beyond for cops. Yes, sir. No, sir. May I please go into my glove compartment to obtain my license and registration? May I please roll down the other windows? May I please step out of the vehicle? We have to train our kids ourselves so much. Like it's almost like, it's almost like PTSD. You go over and over and repetitive muscle memory, this training. When you tell your kids, hey, when the police stops you, do not make any sudden movements. Do not do this. Do not disrespect them. Call them yes, sir, no, sir, which you should do regardless because they're probably older than you. But that's neither here or there. But you have to go above and beyond just for the simple fact to know if you're going to be able to just get out of the situation alive. Yes. If you're going to get apprehended alive, you have to go above and beyond. So the simple notion is that why didn't he just do what the cops told him to do? He may have. Who knows? We don't know what really transpired before the fact when the cops rolled up there. We don't know. But the simple fact that it took, I think I saw 4 or 5 cops pulling out their guns, shooting this man. It's just unacceptable. You mean to tell me 4 armed cops can't sit there and subdue one person? You guys are all in the wrong profession. Seriously, in the wrong profession.
And Ian, that's why. And I brought that up to bring it back to these NBA players because just like I said on yesterday during the Zoom conference call, I got a chance to speak with a couple of the Rockets players, and I asked them this question. And one of them said that at the end of the day, I'm a black man. Mm-hmm. No matter how much money I make, no matter how many games I play in the NBA, no matter how many times you see me on television, I am still a black man who fears and have to fear for their life. He said, I don't know, because it was Robert Covington. He's like, when my phone rings or when my text messages, I don't know if it's going to be somebody saying this person got shot, this person got killed by the police. That I don't know what it's going to say. I think he even told us a story about a time where he got accosted by the police for playing football in the street. And when I tell you that I was just like, wow. And so when people start to say, well, they're athletes, they make millions and millions of dollars, they shouldn't be able to complain, they should just go and play. And I always say, hey, listen, it's a job for them. It's entertainment for us. We're entertained, but that's their jobs. And if they got issues and problems on their job, or if this is the way that they want to handle things, then I don't have a problem with it. If this is what you need to do, then this is what you need to do. But there's going to be so many naysayers. I'm pretty sure, I haven't checked on social media just yet, but I'm pretty sure there's going to be a lot of naysayers that's going to come on. A lot of sports media personalities are going to come on and say things like, this is the wrong time, or they shouldn't have done this, they should have just played. What do you think that the players should tell them?
What I think the players should tell them, I literally can't say on this show. I'll leave it at that. However, what they can do is just say, stop killing black people.
Point blank.
I mean, it's just that simple. I mean, I don't know how elementary we can get it. We're just asking, just stop killing black people. Without due process.
It's really crazy because 2 things. One, and I didn't mean to talk over you, my bad. You see Vince Carter talking this morning saying that he takes like his license and some form of identification when he goes to the mailbox?
It's crazy. Like now that he said that, I might have to start doing that. And my mailbox is 15 feet away from my house.
My car is right.
It's crazy.
My car is right around the corner in the garage, bro. If I go to my car to get anything, I grab my wallet and I grab my dog tag so I can be identified if something happens. It's so bad, and that's what I want people to realize, and that's what I want people to understand is that, when these players do these type of things, because I'm gonna be honest with you. So to see the Milwaukee Brewers not play, that let me know, hey, look, people are going forward with this. Athletes are about to go forward with this. I don't think that outside of the very first game in when the Seattle Mariners versus the Houston Astros. The Mariners have the most black players on any team in MLB.
Okay.
The season opener, they all came out and they all took a knee. Ever since then, they don't even come out for the national anthem. They don't even come out for the national anthem. And so I've been noticing that a lot of other players are doing that. This last series that the Astros had against the Los Angeles Angels, there's a lot of they're African American players. None of them came out. That when I'm going to these games and I'm watching the African American players and some of their teammates, they're not even coming out during the national anthem. They're waiting until the game starts, and then they'll come out. So what I'm saying is that it's starting to bleed over, and especially those two entities as far as Major League Baseball and the NBA. Now, here's another question I got for you, E, because now we here. We ain't done this in a long time, but now we here, right?
Minute. And the last time we did it was for George Floyd.
Yep, and that's crazy. That's crazy. E, I'm going to tell you what's going to piss me off, though. What's going to piss me off is when college sports comes back and these college players try to do it and these coaches take the control away from them. And I've always said in order to survive in any D1 program as far as football and basketball for sure is concerned, however you can control your hood, dude, that's how far we'll allow you and him to be here. Control your hood guy. I know you went and got him out the hood. That's where in their mind, that's where the great athletes are. And even though in high school they moved him out of the hood to be able to play for this certain area, for this certain high school, gave his mama a job and put him and his family up in an apartment until he's able to move on. So I know that he didn't grow fully up in the hood towards the end of his adolescent years, but right. Now, he still has that hood mentality in him, and he still has friends. So, make sure when he goes home and comes back, you control him, because if you can't, coach, we may have to find. And I'm talking about this from athletic directors and a Bout perspective. So, what's going to happen when these college players come back and they want to take a knee, or they don't want to come out for the national anthem, and their coaches say, no, this is what you're going to do? Because it pisses me off, E, when they say, no, you're going to listen to me when I say this. Oh, but you're an adult to be able to make the decision for yourself whether or not you want to play during a global pandemic.
So what's the running back's name from Oklahoma State? Chuba Hubbard?
Yes.
Chuba Hubbard should have won first round this year in the NFL draft. Kind of spoke out against Mike Gundy. I think that's the coach of the Oklahoma State Cowboys football team. Mike Gundy wore some type of T-shirt that was basically promoting a pro-Trump news outlet, if I'm not mistaken. And Chuba Hubbard kind of let loose, and not necessarily let loose, but kind of said that, hey, bro, I'm kind of offended by that shirt that you got on. And Mike Gundy kind of brushed it away and try to sweep it under the rug. I think, like you said, I think you're right. Depending on what Nick Saban, a state employee who makes over $8 million annually, how he can control his players, his top dudes. I think that's going to be interesting to see. But also, I think these players just don't give a damn anymore, because now you have a college football portal, what's basically a free agent pool. A lot of them aren't going to be able to afford their scholarships. But if you got a player like Justin Fields, Trevor Lawrence caliber, they got to walk it past. I mean, you don't want to piss off Justin Fields, who's probably going to go first round in the NFL draft this year. You're not going to piss off Trevor Lawrence, who's probably going to be the number one overall draft pick in this year's draft. You're not going to try to piss off the dudes. But if the other guys who are fighting for a scholarship, the walk-ons, that's where things get tricky, BB. And that's where, we give so much power. And this is kind of a blessing in disguise to see that these higher ed institutions drive on college sports so much that they can't even afford their regular bills for people that go for school for mechanical engineering, our nursing school, our mathematics, our world languages, and things like that, that they depend on college sports so bad that everything else is kind of at a standstill right now, because college sports isn't really happening and they've had to cut so many different employees. So my question is, are they going to sit there and keep pissing these players off even more and keep shaking that, keep bugging that beehive? Because if so, I think you can kind of see even college sports is somewhat starting to transition. Mark Emmert, who's the president of the NCAA, who's an idiot, he's even got to kind of figure it out. And I mean, because at the end of the day, what did they just announce this year, BB? The Supreme Court had just announced that college players can make profits off of their names. So now they got a little bit of piece of change coming in their pockets. It may not be big pieces of change, but if you got a nice little piece of change coming in your pockets, it may not be Nick Saban money, but if you can make a profit off your name, who cares?
And if you're able to do that, then you should be able to take a knee or to boycott the national anthem if you like. And got two more things before we get up out of here. One, I'm going to reiterate the fact that both of us are veterans of the United States Army.
Yes.
What I can't understand is when people start having conversations with me about the national anthem, right? Now, I do stand for the national anthem. I place my hand over my heart. You'll be surprised.
I do.
You'll be surprised. And that's a personal choice of mine, though. That's just a personal choice of mine. But you'll be surprised on how many of these sports media personalities who have so much to say about boycotting the protest, who during the national anthem got their hands in their pockets, on their phones, moving around. In some situations, sometimes I'm the only African American inside of the press box. And I'm also the only person with my hand over my heart. And I'm saying to myself, but bro, I follow you on social media. So you have so many issues with what's going on. But people get so enamored behind the Star Spangled Banner, behind the national anthem.
Sure, don't talk about that third stance.
But hold on, here's the funny part, That isn't even part of a military day unless there's a ceremony. It's the only time we hear the national anthem. So I don't understand how people get so patriotic and want to criticize it. When I'm saying to myself, it's like, look, you're disrespecting, disrespecting the military. And I was like, bro, they don't, I think in my military career, maybe out of the 6 years I was in the military before I got medically retired, 4. I may have heard the national anthem 4 times, in 6 years.
In 10 years, I might be able to trump you and say probably 2. This is coming back from deployments, coming back from ceremonies, different types of promotions and whatnot. Maybe 2. And I'm really having a hard time. I don't know if it's because of the 3 concussions I've had, but I don't know if it's because I can't even think of a time where we played the national anthem when I came back from my deployments. So I don't remember. I don't remember it. I could be wrong. Anybody who wants to chime in, feel free. But I don't remember hearing the national anthem at any military ceremony. I don't remember hearing one at any promotions, any type of parades, none of that stuff. So the notion of – go ahead.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, okay. I'm going to agree and be like, that's just the national anthem, bro. I mean, it doesn't start or end a military day at all, period. Not at all.
Not reveille or retreat.
At all. And the second and the last point that I have is I think that a lot of people need to go back and revisit some of the things that the WNBA was ahead of this, way ahead of this a long time ago.
Yeah.
Those young ladies are owed an apology from a lot of people. I
have a Maya Moore jersey.
Huh?
I have a Maya Moore jersey that I've been wearing around here because of that.
Doing some things, bro. Maya Moore is doing some things outside of. She stepped away from basketball to be able to put, to do what she's doing now, and that's helping with helping get innocent civilians out of jail, out of prison, right? Wrongly convicted,
right?
But the WNBA is owed an apology by a lot of people because they've always been at the forefront, so much to the point of in Minnesota, the police officers like, we're not going to protect you all anymore if that's how you feel about what happened with the George Floyd situation. And the owner and everybody else is like, okay, what about the owner? That's the she a senator, right? For the Atlanta Dream.
For DC? Oh, for the Atlanta Dream, yeah.
Yeah, so her players are like, look, it's so bad that her players are wearing shirts with her opponent's name on it. And so that's it. Well, you got to get up out of here, man. And before we do, though, we got 2 signature things that we do one on the Sports Business Podcast, and then one on Sports Talk with Big Sar. So before we get to that, tell them where they can find you.
Hey, so once again, I appreciate BB. I wish to certain it was under lighter moods. I'm really holding back emotions right now. So BB, I really want to appreciate it because I was thinking all damn day long, like I was just out of the zone. So thank you. Where you can find me on is on the gram at Money Compton. You can find me there. You can also follow me at the Twitterverse at Eric G. Compton. You can also follow me or this show at Sports Business. We do a little, we got instead of the S's, we got crooked letter Z's, out there. So you can definitely just Google us and find us available on all platforms and as well as YouTube. So if you also want to email the show, that's sportzbizNess@gmail.com. I see a plethora of comments that I wish we could have got to. So everyone that left a comment, thank you so much from the bottom of my heart.
I put them up.
I did see it. So
I put them up as well. So
I did see it. So thank you. But yeah, tell them where to find you at, BB.
You can find me at Big Sar Sports with a Z on Twitter and on Instagram. You can also go to Big Sar Sports with the Z at the end.com and read all of my articles. And also at Big Sarge Media on YouTube. So, I'm going to let you go first. You got a sports dummy?
Whew. You know what? I don't know if it's a sports dummy, but I've been preaching it all day long on all my platforms. So, for everybody who's salty about these people that, all the players that want to get up and walk out and protest, y'all are the dummies. Seriously, y'all are legitimately the dummies. I'm just going to leave it at that. At the end of the day, if you don't want to see your favorite star, if you want sports as your outlet, this is your way of getting out in the middle of this global pandemic that we're suffering. If you want to see people, you want to see home runs swinging, you want to see basketball, slam dunks and stuff like that, why don't y'all tell y'all homeboys, homegirls who are cops, stop killing black people. And I promise you these people will get back on doing their respectable jobs, whether it's playing baseball, playing football, hockey, any of that stuff. I promise you they'll be back out there ASAP. But if y'all want to see some change, stop killing black people. It's that simple. That's all I got. That's my big dummy today. Stop killing black people. Enough said.
And on Sports Talk with Big Sarge, I always end every show with Article 15.
Oh, I want to hear one so bad today. I need
all my Vietnam veterans, welcome home. Germany, good night. All my active duty military personnel that's downrange, good night. It's now time for Big Sarge's Article 15. Herschel Walker, come this work. Listen, bro, let me tell you something. About the only thing I remember from your NFL career, Herschel Walker, is you getting on the bus or getting in a car, a town car cab. They did not have Uber. They did not have Lyft. They did not have any ride share services back then. But whatever vehicle you took to go to the airport, to get on the airplane and go to Minnesota, that is by far the only thing I remember from your NFL career.
Did he fly to Love Field or DF Dub? Did he fly to Love Field? Was it Love Field or DF Dub?
DFW. Look, Jerry probably set him up. And you know what, though? Hold on. Jerry Jones is very petty. He may have sent him out on Love.
Oh, Love. He might put him on Love.
On JetBlue. Anyway, Herschel Walker, while I do commend you for what you did in college, you were a great college player. And even in the USFL, you had your moments. But in the NFL, the only thing you did, the only thing that I am happy that I even know who you are, sir, is because you helped build the Dallas Cowboys dynasty. You are responsible for the 3 rings that the Dallas Cowboys have. 3 out of the 5. And I would like to say because of your performance on the field, but it's not. It's because they said, we're going to get rid of you and send you away and draft players who can do a job better than you can. So now, the reason why I bring up Mr. Herschel Walker, which, by the way, side note, hey, man, you ever see that dude with his shirt off? That dude is ripped, bro. And
he was trying to be MMA. He was an MMA fighter at 50-some years old.
I don't know. You know, I'm glad that I'm doing this behind a computer screen and not in his face. But I probably would. It depends on where we at. If I'd keep the same energy, I'd probably tell him, "Hey, sir, I'm not a fan." I would tell him that I'm not a fan. Herschel Walker. Matter of fact, Herschel Walker came to Fort Belvoir back in 2013 either 2013 or 2014 to speak to the Fort Belvoir has a huge Wounded Warrior Center.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right? For active duty. He came to speak. He was like, hey, so you gonna go hear Herschel Walker speak? I was like, for what? Like, why? I was like, my wife from Georgia, she got kinfolk that if I just want to hear can't enunciate their words to sound country. So no, I'm good. Herschel Walker I've never been a fan of Herschel Walker. I'm not a Georgia fan. So no. But Herschel Walker, the reason why you're getting the Article 15 is because you and your son, who I won't criticize because that's your child, but I can definitely tell that it's the blind leading the blind. Hey, man, for you to come out on the RNC and say the things that you said about racism and President Trump and things like that and took side shots at African Americans, have you taken too many hits to the head, sir? Have you taken too many? Did you hear his speech?
No, I've had zero interest in the DNC or the RNC. I'm gonna be honest with you, BB. But I did hear, and I saw when I saw he was gonna be on, and I was like, oh, so they sat there and really played you like that, huh? They really played you. You the target.
He's like, I've been knowing him because he played for President Trump when he was in the USFL. So right. I've been knowing him for over 30 years. He's always been a great guy. This, that, and other, blah, this, blah, that. He's not a racist. Yeah, well, what about the Central Park Five, sir? Can you tell them that he's not a racist? Can you look them in their eyes and tell them after they were exonerated, after they were acquitted, he still took a full page ad out in the newspaper saying that they did it. And there's no evidence to prove that they did it. The evidence says that they did not. But yet President Trump still pushed that agenda and still pushed that narrative. How about you tell a lot of the African Americans who lived in some of the properties that he owned, that he became a slumlord in? How about you tell them that he's not racist? How about you tell the black people who went to the black and brown people who went to Trump University, which, by the way, I don't even know why. That's stupidity on their part. Even though it's racist, it's still dumb on their part. So Herschel Walker, sir, I don't know if you know this or not, but in between Hulu, maybe Netflix, damn show YouTube, you used to have this routine where you used to like to do crunches and sit-ups in between Love Connection. I'm pretty sure that you can go on any one of those services and find old shows, old Love Connection shows, and watch them. And you need to do some type of sit-ups. And then, you know what, E? Hey, Herschel Walker, guess what? We'll be back in 2 and 2. E, thanks for coming on, bro. I appreciate it.
Two things before we digress. I know we got to get up out of here. 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, the NBA is going to have a meeting for all players who want to show up and talk about what they do from here on out. So that just came from Adrian Wojnarowski. And number two, breaking news, the Mariners and the Padres game has also been canceled tonight. So we got something going. I said it. We said it on the show earlier. So it looks like it's happening. So we'll see what ends up going on. But I like where we're going.
We're going to have to get together and do this again. Because we're going to have to get together and do this on a lighter note. Because I damn sure want to hear what you got to say about your Las Vegas Raiders.
Yeah, we definitely got to talk about that, man. So hopefully we can run this back next week.
I only bring that up because I damn sure want to talk about the offensive weapons that the Dallas Cowboys have.
Yeah, man. Yeah, so we can run it back, but we got to definitely have shows on a lighter note. I feel like we keep having these dark, twisted fantasy, these dark shows, and it's definitely a toll. But thank you for having me on, and
bro,
thank you.
Yeah, I already know this is what we do, man. So appreciate it, bro.
So, hey, we out.
All right.